Hi, this is Annette Thurston, and today I'll be giving a talk on the Human Design Language System, Design and Technology Patterns for Individuation. So today I'm going to talk about three things. First, design language systems, what they are, what purpose they serve, and who uses them. Number two, cultural and technological disruptors, what those are and the gaps between technology and design when it comes to design language systems. And three, the human design language system, how we can integrate design and tech to create harmony through a design language system. So I'll start at the beginning. My grandfather owned a large construction company. He built bridges and highways and other civic structures throughout our country. As a young girl, he would fly me to the site so I could see the projects in production, and I was especially interested in the architectural designs of the bridges. I was also interested in the systems they used to build them, the Romans' post and lintel practice. And I was fascinated with the many layers of that system. And more than I could articulate at the time, I felt viscerally that the system served the goal, that it was a passage for people from one side of the waterway to another. And that sort of interest in systems and designs carried over into my interest in user experience design later, and my belief in systems for design, that design is not decoration and instead should be built upon foundational needs and systems and patterns. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a design language system is, it's an overarching design system that creates harmony across an ecosystem of digital products. And this is my first design language system. I did it about 6 years ago with a team for AT&T. It took about 1.5 years to complete, and it was one of my favorite projects because it gave me the opportunity to design for a system based on multiple product suites for a very wide user base of about 90 million users. Of course, design language systems have come a long way since then. They're everywhere. They span every industry, from techos like Google and Apple to telcos like AT&T and T-Mobile, and publishers like Al Jazeera or BBC, and social networks like Facebook. They are created for both third-party designers and internal design teams to create guidelines and recommendations for the designers so the style, the look, and the interactions are cohesive and can maintain the integrity of the product and the brand. And they're built upon themes that are recognizable, these buzzwords of the industry, such as authentic, or unified, or ecosystem, or personalized. And they are built upon design components that always start with the user at the center. They often contain design strategy, UX design, UI design, interaction design, motion design. It's been about 6 years since I've worked on that first design language system, and during my research on more modern DSLs, I was surprised that they hadn't evolved much since then when it came to integrating technology. There are a few design language systems that are trying to incorporate technology, such as Apple's Human Design Guidelines. They're one of the few design language systems that offers guidelines for the integration of OS services, such as extensions, in-app purchases, and iCloud. And Airbnb is very unique in their approach for integrating technology into design language systems. They are investing in code as a design tool. They've developed a design tool team, and one of their tools, called Airship, allows anyone at Airbnb to access thousands of screen permutations instantly. Any screen, version, language, or platform. But for the most part, design language systems are very design-driven and don't incorporate technologies as part of the system. So this got me thinking about technology and culture and how it will shape design language systems over the next few years. I've been working for startups in healthcare and business intelligence for the past 1.5 years, and that really helped me gain some new insights into users, new technologies, and the industry, especially around mobile accessibility, big data, and machine learning. And through all of that, I've noticed several cultural and technological disruptors. The first one is a widening user base. Smartphone users are growing globally. 90% of the populated globe will have high-speed mobile data coverage by 2020, and 80% of the users are going to be located in Asia-Pacific, the Middle East, and Africa. And here at home, users are multicultural. Hispanics are considered the power users of mobile devices, and they adopt new apps more quickly than the national average. We are designing for the world, and it's no coincidence that users originate from diverse economic classes. Whereas only the upper or middle class could afford this sort of technology before, now the lower the income, the more dependent the user is on their phone for information. 10% of Americans own a smartphone but don't have any other form of high-speed internet in their home. Technology is not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. Users also span multiple generations, and they all have individual needs. Generation Z is the first truly mobile-first generation, so they place a big emphasis on personalization and relevance. 39% of millennials say they interact more with their smartphones than they do with their significant other. And Generation X, who values sincerity, authenticity, and independence, they want retailers to provide a personalized brand experience. Baby boomers say they'd need some assistance learning how to use the apps, but once they do, they view it in a very positive light. All of these age groups adopt smartphones, and they all have individual needs, but that's not happening in a vacuum. It's happening because of the proliferation of technologies in these various environments. Another one is called forced interaction, and you see it everywhere. You see it in the grocery store, movie theaters, coffee shops, in airports. And its most predominant form is in financial transactions. So a lot of users, especially older ones, who are very uncomfortable with technology, feel compromised using it in public. I've seen it a lot of frustrated older people or grandparents trying to type in their email for a coffee receipt. So users need experiences customized to their environment in the privacy of their home or in a public scenario with a line of people behind them. So all of these disruptors are leading to a desire for individuation for the user, be it location, culture, age, or environment. And unlike customization and personalization, individuation is predictive, and it tailors the experience from the moment it begins. But it's challenging. It's challenging to design experiences that look and act differently for every single user. It requires a deep understanding of data science, machine learning, and emerging technologies. And of course, technological advances, that is the biggest disruptor of all, and it's responsible for all of these other cultural shifts. So with capabilities of big data, predictive analytics, the Internet of Things, machine learning and deep learning, and conversational interfaces, we can design for almost anything. But over the last decade, these primary forces, among others, have created a gap between users and technology. Because for the most part, we as designers haven't designed for these technologies in mind or made space for them in our design systems. So I ask, how can we integrate design and technology to create harmony with design language systems? So I'm proposing a concept of what I am calling the human design language system. It integrates systems and patterns for both design and technology, big data, emerging technologies, and methods with core design language components like user experience, user interface, and UXD. And the goal is that we would create a design language system that has guidelines around dynamically being able to change the user experience based on a unique profile, preference, usage patterns, locations, friends, on any platform or device. So we'll go from a purely design-centric model to one that integrates technological capabilities into design and we'll be able to push these systems to the next level, and we'll be able to solve for needs like individuation. I really believe that collaborating with engineers to integrate technology into the design language system will make that possible. So I'm going to dive into a few of these technologies and talk about how they could be incorporated into a design language system. So the first one is data design. Data design is about creating contextual meaning for the user. It's not about the numbers. It's about the story the numbers tell you. So quantitative data shows scale, and qualitative data gives perspective. And I think that data patterns in a design language system could help UX designers qualify a user's experience in a very specific way, like who they are, what they do, and how they use your app, and why. Coined by Google, micro-moments offer you quick information that you can consume or act upon. So you could get a message about when a flight is landing, the next appointment, or who won the ball game. Then you can act on these notifications, even if acting is simply saying, okay. Micro-moments are an empathetic sort of interaction. They could be intelligently triggered when a user is sick, or in a public place, or in a hurried situation. They could be set into a design language system to control the experience of time and the physical or mental environments for your user. So cognitive computing platforms like IBM Watson, DeepMind, and of course advances in messenger chatbots will enable design language systems the power to dynamically generate individuated user experiences based on a user's unique profile and user patterns. And like life itself, it could continually evolve with the user. At my current startup, our MarkBio, we're able to leverage deep learning and Watson to drive individuated experiences for each user in our system. And this directly coincides with conversational interfaces. With bots like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, Cortana, and others, voice will be the new touchscreen. It'll be more like people acting as our proxies and accomplishing tasks for us. In a recent article I read, Alexa is learning to listen for emotions, and Apple bought a company called Emodient. They're an emotion detection and sentiment analysis platform. I've heard a lot of people say that voice is a ways off, but in China, voice interfaces are already taking off because Chinese characters don't work well on touchscreens. Baidu is China's leading internet company. They have a speech recognition engine called Deep Speech 2, and it's a neural network that associates sound with words and phrases. So far, it's learned Mandarin, Cantonese, and other variations of Chinese. Voice is starting to be an integral part of design, and it should be included in every design language system as a core component. So interoperability, that is the ability of a system or a product to work with other systems or products without any special effort on part of the user. So an example of that would be an alarm clock automatically turns off the lights, plays music, and opens the blinds. So while services like If This Then That are effective in some ways, they're ineffective in integrating devices like audio and video equipment into the experience. So when it comes to design language systems, designers are going to have to learn how to design for interoperability across systems as a whole to be able to ensure that the overall UX is coherent. So where do we begin? I think we start by creating some new design language standards. And some of those could include ensuring that UX design is going to be driven by data, cognitive technologies, and conversational interfaces, that it's going to be inspired by the Internet of Things and interoperability, that there are going to be opportunities for hybrid digital and physical experiences, and that user experience might prompt a physical experience via a digital one. I believe in collaboration with engineering teams as part of the design process to create a new standard for design language systems. As Steve Jobs said, design is how things work. So I believe that all of these technologies, such as interoperability, data design, cognitive technologies, micro-moments, and others, combined with user experience, user interface design, interaction design, they all together have the capacity to push design language systems to the next level and beyond. And I think the point of all of this is to be able to create harmony between designers and engineers, between systems and apps, and between technology and humans. And I'm going to end today with a quote by my favorite architect and one of my favorite writers, Christopher Alexander. And he says, to work our way towards a shared language once again, we must first learn how to discover patterns which are deep and capable of generating life. So this is a concept, but one that I'm going to start building out more concretely over the next few months. And if you would like to start a conversation around what you think a human design language system could entail, please reach out at hdls@AnnetteThurston.com. Thanks for listening.